Wake up, Australia-topia. Good morning, citizens, and welcome to Madmacs Straight Talk. I'm Mad Mac. Our question today is, why would every regional city have its own mutual investment banking capacity? I'm going to be like a broken record around this issue because Australia has got a long way to navigate to get to a point of decentralised capital control. We're a young country. It wasn't that long ago that old Cook landed in Botany Bay. Now, what we've got over the last 40 years is a growing and burgeoning superannuation industry. However, when you analyse it, it's centrally controlled. It's based in Sydney, it's based in Melbourne. Now, when you look at our population, it's spread across the country in pretty easily definable areas. So let's call these economic zones. And then let's assume that from an investment banker's viewpoint, he will always, or she will respond to demand for capital, which they will then supply. We have lots of wonderful regions that today cannot get responsive capital solutions. Now, the real challenge is politics, which is, look, to be perfectly candid, a very dumb business. And the reason it's a dumb business is that really rich people take quite an interest in politics because that allows them to, shall we say, control more of the market and more of the profitability. Now, these people are really well educated in how to make a lot of money. And that's a relatively simple formula. If you're looking after a lot of money, well, unless you're very dopey, you're going to make a lot of money because it's what's called ROE. That is not a fish egg. Return on equity sums up the sum total of every single business on the planet. It doesn't matter whether you make coffee or you are a lawyer or an accountant or you, take your pick. A rugby league club is still a business. The real challenge is most of these businesses graft over very short grass on a paddock. It's what's called a red ocean as opposed to a blue ocean. A blue ocean is if I set off in my fishing boat and I go to a secret reef that no one has heard about, I'm bound to catch a lot more fish because A, there won't be many fishermen there, and ergo I'll get more. In a red ocean, it's particularly competitive. Now, small and medium enterprise, which is what we call our smart businesses, our small, our medium, our retail trader, stretched across the country, unfortunately are often in red ocean. The giant blue ocean is the billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars captured by four major banks. They're extraordinarily vulnerable. But if you want to drive ROE, you try and avoid doing what we investment bankers call the dumb end of the deal. The dumb end of the deal is the first 65%. Trust me, you'll go to sleep. That's for those who professionally distribute the dumb end of the deal, which is our commercial bankers. So the difference between an investment banker and a commercial banker is commercial bankers do the dumb end of the deal, investment bankers do the balance of that. So let's take the word investment banker out. We're not allowed to use the word because the word banking and banker is owned offshore. We can use the word entrepreneur. Only why don't we spell it without any vowels? E-N-T-R-P-R-N-R. So let's assume that those listening here would like to grow in their entrepreneurial capacity, and they'd like to figure out how to manage more equity. Now, the interesting thing about ROE is, if I'm going to drive high ROE, then I want to use low amounts of equity. So let's say I've got 100 grand and I make 100 grand with that 100 grand over a 12-month period. That would be 100% return on equity. But if I made, let's say, 100 grand using 50 grand, well, that's 200%. But what if I made 100 grand using 10 grand? Wow, that's 1,000% return. However, what if I just made 100 grand by having a good idea, connecting a couple of dots, i.e. people, and I didn't put any money in the deal? That's called infinity return. So if we're going to get wealthy from listening to me talk to you, we've got to get the rules right. Now, some people are extremely focused in what they do. A world champion kickboxer, for instance, a colleague of mine who is a legend, said to me, you only have to have a couple of very good techniques to become a world champion. Well, can I tell you? You only have to have a couple of very good techniques to make your first 100K, your first 500, your first million, your first 5 million, your first 10, your first 20, and so it goes. Because once you get that snowball packed down, it's really a matter of, shall we say, managing your proclivities. Because we've all got proclivities. Money is like water. If you put it in an open dish, it will evaporate. So you really also need to understand that anyone who's made a lot of money has collaborated for that purpose. Mick Jagger, gosh, guy's a bit of a legend, really, isn't he? Sir Mick made a bundle of money singing songs and getting audiences excited. But what he then does is he takes that chaff and he puts it somewhere else. He no doubt owns a whole bunch of really nice real estate, and he probably owns shares in companies and bits and bobs. So today, if I'm going to leave you with one compelling message, it's going to be this. Australia, to grow at an economic level, must develop systems to empower its small businesses. And the only way it's going to do that is through mutual investment banking. Thank you for joining us.